everyone, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a going into dormancy, what to look out for video. So I've seen a lot recently on Facebook groups and other websites that obviously people are wondering what their plants should look like for dormancy, when about obviously the plants go dormant, and you know what to look out for. So I thought I'd make a really nice video to kind of help people, even if it's your first dormancy, which can be very intimidating. I was exactly the same. Or obviously if you just want to know what your plants should be looking at like this time of year, if you leave them out, say in an unheated greenhouse and it's your first year doing so, then I hope this will help. So I'm going to be showing you a comparison between my unheated greenhouse and how the plants currently look, and outside of my bog barrels, which obviously are a bit more advanced into their dormancy due to obviously it being colder and more exposed to the elements. We've had a loss of wind, as you can probably hear from the greenhouse. Every now and again it rattles, which is really annoying, and we've started getting a little bit more rain after our really hot and dry summer, so I'll be able to show you everything that's looking obviously going into dormancy now. But it's also a good time of the year as well. I quite like the winter time with the plants. Obviously unfortunately all the plants do die down, but it's actually a really nice time because you get to divide and repot a load of stuff that you could be waiting for. So you get loads more plants, perfect time to do propagation like rhizome cuttings, which I like to do with the Sarracenia. This time of year it's perfect for the leucophyllas, so I've pulled all the leucophyllas forward in my main tray at the back here, which I'll show you in a second. So all the bright white leucophylla pictures look really nice, and it's their season now because this is what they like, the cooler weather, and then they come out. Same with obviously when it gets a little bit cooler in about November time, you have Gamier from the pygmy sundews, so that's a really exciting thing as well for me because I love my pygmy sundews, so can't wait to do swaps and sells of all my Gamier, as well as sow my next year's batch as well. And with my additional greenhouse space I'll hopefully be able to divide up all my Sarracenia seedlings from last year, put them in individual pots to actually get more bit of growth progression as well. So I hope you find this video informative, and I'm going to start with going through my greenhouse now. Okay, so from my greenhouse tour that I did last week, you'll probably notice a few differences. So first of all of my Sarracenia seedlings have now been transferred into individual pots. So the trays they were in before were the exact same cell size as the pots they're in now, so I literally just transferred them over. The tray had fallen apart completely, and when I went to pick it up it just basically shattered, so they've been in there for about 3 years now. So I will repot some of my selected ones, so I have tags. You can see the ones with the green on them are the ones that I've decided to keep, and they will be the ones I will transfer into larger 9cm pots. I'm really liking because they've got the Wilkinson's White Knight is the Morii part of these seedlings, so you can see I've got some really nice large pictures coming on them now, and you can see some of their fresh pictures coming all through here. But yeah, I really like the leucophylla colours, and obviously got some nice bright white ones as well. So moving on to what I spoke about previously, which was the main tray. So as you can see here, I've pulled forward a lot of leucophyllus, hence why it's a little bit sparse at the front here, waiting for the new pictures to come out, and you can see all my flowers and stuff I have pushed to the back. But you can see all the new pictures I've got from leucophyllus, including obviously the Morii. So I've got another monster picture coming out here. I've got some nice leucophylla giant Baldwin there. I've got my pink stripe here, which one's really nice this year. The autumn pictures are twice the size as the ones produced in spring, and they are like a proper nice picture. First nice ones I got from this. Same with my camisole, that has produced some really lovely pictures. Really nice bright green and white that you got there, and obviously the really distinctive hood. My night sky, which was one of my favourites from last year, well actually tell a lie, it was my favourite from last year. It's got its nice autumn winter pictures coming, which should be really nice. So here's a picture it produced earlier in the year. So it's got a really nice dark black and white kind of coloration, and I find the autumn pictures it produces are even darker, so I'm looking forward to those, including some of my newer ones like my Bielsa I got from Wax earlier in the year. There's another picture it's producing, so hopefully it will be a better picture, and you can see as I'm going through, got some nice ones. God, now I think that's Adrian Slack as well. Got some Leah Wilsons in there as well, I know. My Heterophylla looks really nice at this time of year. I do really like this one with that distinctive shape, green and white. Obviously it's really vibrant coloration. Even obviously I've got my Judith Hindle at the front here, really nice dark red pictures, and then when they start there are this really nice like whitey pink coloration, and then they just go into like a really nice bright reddy maroon colour. So hopefully obviously I'll do a video later on in the year, you'll be able to see some stuff. Obviously you've got my asbo there, and I've got my Cronus Titan at the back there, which still got some young pictures. But yeah, oh, and that was the other one I was going to point out, is my Jupiter Sopa. So these were pictures it produced earlier in the year. Obviously this one's a little bit deformed, but it's got its first really large picture. So as you can see here, it's a nice large one, nice pubescent form as well. So hopefully that'll be really interesting to see when that one comes out too, so I'll keep you updated on those. Okay, so I'm going to start with Sarracenia dormancy signs first, using the tray that I have behind me when I'm sitting doing my introductions to my videos. As I sorted out my main tray, I did cut off all the pictures that were obviously dying, but this one will be a good indication. So the first thing I'm going to show is the flower pods from the Sarracenia. So the first sign is obviously all the outer petals and all that will fall off from the flower, and you will see that the seed pod starts to crack, and eventually will start revealing the seeds inside. Obviously it's important to harvest before they completely fall off. So you can see here, it's nice large seed pods here, and they are going that darker colour, and they'll hopefully be ready within a month or so. So that's signs for the seed pods. And then the pictures themselves, so this is a good indication from my Aureophylla here. As you can see, the picture is practically almost dead. So I will simply just cut it from the base of the plant down here, and then it will sit, as you can see here, these phyllodia, which are their winter non-carnivorous leaves. So they look like this. They don't obviously produce any kind of traps, but they do obviously photosynthesize over the winter time, and are obviously a good way for the plants to store energy while they've got no traps and they can't obviously capture insects. The Aureophylla has quite a nice phyllodia. It's like a weird long wrapped over one, where most of them will just have an upright leaf like that. So you also see this time of year, if your plants have caught a lot of prey, is obviously, I call it it's like basically like an indigestion kind of thing. So the traps will basically burn from the inside, and then they'll die mainly at the top, and you see all the insects that the trap has consumed. You can also see it if you cut off the trap and then obviously slice it open. You'll see how many insects they've caught. You can see it at the back there as well. And obviously again, once they're completely died off, you just simply cut them from the base. Okay, so the next is Temperate Drosera. So you can see here, this is my intermedia, the white form. And you can see here in the middle of the what looks like dead is actually the hibernacula, which forms in the centre of the plant. So this is their winter resting bud. It's very small for a small plant, and it's a little green resting bud, and they will stay like that until the spring next year, and then they'll resume their growing pattern. But you can see each one of them has got a little green resting bud here, and this is how the plant will stay. And obviously you can cut off all the old dead leaves around. You can see where they flowered this year. And it's the same with my Anglica. You can see it's got a tight bud here. This one isn't green, this one stays more of a darker colour. And then my intermediate hasn't completely died down yet, but you can see here how the bud in the middle has kind of tightened a bit. So this one will now start dying off. You can see from the outside leaves, this one has died down, and then it will resume into just the bud over winter. So there's nothing to worry about. This is just how they stay. I always find mine go as soon as the winter drops, and then they'll come back in spring really nicely, and they do usually double up in size as well, so that's really nice. So even say Bonatas, and obviously the species and cultivars of Bonatas as well. So this is my variety, which is Bonata dictoma, and as you can see from the middle of the plant, it's now become basically they will die off completely. As you can see here, loads of brown leaves. And again, this one will die back to the roots. It doesn't really form a hibernacula as much. It will basically be a pot of what looks like nothing. So again, don't be worried about this. It will stay like that throughout the whole of winter, and then come back in the springtime. These things are like weeds. If you've seen how obviously they have grown in my bog barrels, people who follow me on Instagram and seen my infestation, as I want to say, of my dictoma, they do take over. They come back so readily from the roots. As you can see, it still has quite a few nicer outer leaves, which obviously were produced later in the season. So here's another one, and this one has basically died down completely, as you can see. So the actual form Bonata, so this one is just a normal form Bonata, but for some reason it has produced one leaf that looks like that. But it's just got the normal fork leaf like that. It's only got one remaining picture on it. This one produces what is similar to a hibernacula. It basically produces a small fuzzy bud, which you can see in the centre just there, and that's how that one will remain over winter as well. And you can see where the growth points will come out, and again it will remain from now until spring. Same with the Dormancy. This one hasn't started dying down there. You can see it's still got loads of leaves on it, but you can see it's hibernacula at the base there, and that again was what it will look like in the winter time. And same with my filiformis. This one has obviously died down a lot more. You can see all its dying leaves down there, but you could also see its tight hibernacula. It's got several of them, so again you could probably divide that once it's fully died down. I thought I'd also mention in this video subtropical Drosa as well. So Drosa capensis, Drosa capensis alba, obviously you've got your Aliciae spatulata and all the other ones that are similar like that. I also keep those in my unheated greenhouse all year round, so most people commonly keep these as indoors or as houseplants because they don't require a winter dormancy. However, as they are really hardy, easy to grow plants, they will die down to the roots, a little bit like the Bonata, and then they'll come back. You'll probably see almost nothing and you'll think they're dead, but they do come back and you'll see loads of them. If obviously anybody's got a collection like me, you'll see that they are almost like weeds again in the collection. So next up is fly traps. So a lot of people obviously will have their first plant as a fly trap, and the most worrying thing with dormancy is obviously the traps that go black and dying. So a lot of people may think that their plant is dying when they start seeing black traps, but this is completely normal. Some fly traps will die down more than others. Again, it depends how cold they get. So they'll basically start like this. You've got some dark outer rims of the leaves, and then eventually they will just go completely black. So you can see here, they'll start with the trap itself, go down into like a yellowy colour, and they'll die off. So it's quite, I was going to clean this up, but I thought a good opportunity to do a video to show the effects, obviously what dormancy looks like. So I'll go through, I'll just show you the mess of my fly traps. Obviously like clustered ones like my microdent here. You might actually get several traps that remain on your fly traps over winter. Most of mine don't usually die down completely. So you'll get loads of like dark traps, and you might have a small cluster. So for example, my green wizard last year basically stayed similar to the size it is now and just had like 3 or so traps on it. Same with my fuse tooth. You will find that some of them may just have 1 or 2 traps on over winter. They won't die down or disappear completely, but in some cases you'll find that they do die completely and you don't see them. Similar to my red dragon. So this one does die down completely at the end of the year, I found last year, and it will disappear, but then they'll come back up. So you see here, this one needs pulling up a bit from the surface, where all the old leaves have died off. It's got one here, so I'll likely divide these into their own pots over winter. So you can see from the flavas that I've got in here, so I've got a flava capri and a flava ornata in here, and you can see that the flavas have died off quite a lot. They did produce some like smaller pitches, but obviously they're not as good quality later on in the year. But again, I just need to tidy this up. I will do a obviously video on my bog barrels for an update, so I'm only going to do this one obviously briefly and I'll go into more detail in another video. I'll find that my purpurea, so this is my purpurea cross Catsby that I've got, they will barely die down at all. They might lose several pitches, but they will still have most of them on due to them being completely really hardy, so they can go down to about -15. So as you can see, my Drosophila in here has almost died down completely now. I just need to cut all this dead off, and you can see the hibernacula. So this actually is divided really well. I've only just noticed this. I was just fiddling about, and you can see that it's got several in the middle there. So it'd be quite a nice one to divide up as well. So that one's how that's looking at the moment. And then surprisingly, my fly traps in here have not died down as much as I thought. Maybe it's because they are quite sheltered at the moment by all the Sarracenias. The wind comes from this way downwards, so as you can see here, obviously they are protected by several of them, and they're more obviously the PTLs are a bit lower to the ground, but they're actually looking alright. They usually die down a lot more than this time of year, but this is what they look like right now. Okay, and then you can see in my second bog barrel here, I've got a Sarracenia Eva, which again, because it's got leucophyllas in it, it has obviously got some really nice later pictures than it did at the beginning of the year, which looked more like this. I think it was the heat, especially at that beginning of the year, that really got these. Same with my purpureas. I also find that these lot probably won't die down as much due to them being really hardy as well, but got some really nice coloration this time of year. So what I wanted to show off here is I've got some temperate English native Drosera in here, so I've got Anglicas in here, which again you can see at the centre of the plants. I think this one's a bit better. Has produced that cluster. This will be its hibernacula, and the rest of the leaves are starting to die off now. So these ones are nice large hibernaculas. They do a lot better in my bog barrels out here. And same, we've got poor looking rotundifolia here. You could also see its hibernacula there. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to show is my Pinguicula grandiflora. So as you can see here, they also produce a hibernacula at the end of the year. So this is obviously the main plant, and you can see in the middle the hibernacula is already forming. So this bud that's sticking out here, purpley kind of coloured thing, is its hibernacula, and this is basically what it will stay dormant as throughout the winter. All these outer leaves will die off. You can see they're starting to go now, and yeah, it will just be left with that. But it's quite interesting actually to see the form obviously of them going into this. So you can see some of these are just forming, little buds in the middle there, and you can also see even some of the younger ones will. But it's nice to catch it early in the year so you know what kind of to look out for. So this is obviously what they would start looking for just before the dormancy hits. Okay, so that sums up some of the main genus that will be facing dormancy this time of year and what to look out for. So as I said obviously previously, dormancy can be quite obviously intimidating, and it can be quite a sad season because obviously everything dies back, there's nothing really to look at. However, I find it a great season of opportunity, and honestly it's the time of the year where I buy so much. I don't know what it is, winter and the obviously when the temperature gets colder, all I want to do is just buy more plants. And then when obviously I cut back the Sarracenia, I will put them in the tray, usually pot tight. At the moment they're a bit spaced out to allow room for the pitches to grow, and then I'll fill that space up with more plants. And then when they grow in spring, not only do I realise that I have doubled the amount of plants, I also realise that I don't have space for those plants, and me having 2 new grow houses has not helped the situation, because it means I will likely fill those up very quickly, but we will see over the winter. So I don't know if it's just me or if anybody else gets this kind of feeling this time of year, but all they want to do is just buy plants. I find it a very exciting time because, yeah, it is. It's the best time to buy plants as well, because you can pop them on and they'll obviously look quite nice when it comes to the springtime. Same with anything really, it's a nice time of year to actually be doing stuff, and I'm hoping this year to actually be more productive. I've said that last couple of years and it hasn't happened, but I'm obviously hoping something will happen. So obviously I know as well a lot of people who may watch these videos might be in a country where it gets so cold over winter, so my plants will freeze over in the greenhouse and outside, and I will have the snow coverage as well, but obviously it will usually thaw out by at least midday time, so they're not succumb to the frost for a long period of time, where I know some people will have a few days of just frost and cold weather. So obviously in that stage some people might not be able to produce the outside or the unheated greenhouse kind of dormancy. May need to look in stuff like fridge methods and stuff like that. So it depends obviously on your area. Obviously I'm from the UK, so anybody else from the UK watching this video, this is kind of a helpful guide as well, or anybody else who can keep their plants outside during the winter time. So it's just kind of a good practice to get used to dormancy, nice to look out for. So I do hope this video has been helpful to some people, and obviously enjoy the winter time. It's obviously a nice time. I'd like to hear what everybody's going to get up to as well. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it helpful.